All right, like I said earlier tonight, if I were just a plain old traditional Democrat, I would have jumped up with my pom-poms and led the House in cheers today as Hillary Clinton very slowly unzipped the pants of some of these guys, took out their privates and sliced them off and handed them back to them. It was very enlightening, in a manner of speaking, to watch. Hillary starts to tear up, discussing the tragedy at Benghazi.
For me, this is not just a matter of policy, it's personal. I stood next to President Obama as the Marines carried those flag-draped caskets off the plane at Andrews. I put my arms around the mothers and fathers, the sisters and brothers, the sons and daughters, and the wives left alone to raise their children. It has been one of the great honors of my life to lead the men and women of the State Department and USAID. Nearly 70,000 serving here in Washington, more than 270 posts around the world. They get up and go to work every day, often in difficult and dangerous circumstances, because they believe, as we believe, the United States is the most extraordinary force for peace and progress the world has ever known.
Now, I'm waiting for Limbaugh to say, well, there she sat, Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. Oh, I feel so sorry for the families of the dead people. Oh, I'm a little child. Please don't kill me. Pig bastard. Now we move on to Tea Party favorite Senator Ron Johnson, Republican of Wisconsin, who tries to attack Hillary Clinton on the intel failure, as if Ron Johnson has a clue what he's talking about. But she gives it right back, explaining that there was an FBI investigation ongoing, and all that matters is how to prevent these tragedies in the future.
The point I'm making is a very simple phone call to these individuals, I think, would have ascertained immediately that there was no protest prior to this. I mean, this attack started at 9:40 p.m. Benghazi time, and it was an assault. And I appreciate the fact that you called it an assault. But, I mean, I'm going back to then Ambassador Rice, 5 days later, going to the Sunday shows, and what I would say purposefully misleading the American public.
Well,
why wasn't that known? And, again, I appreciate the fact of the transparency of this hearing, but why weren't we transparent at that point in time?
Well, first of all, Senator, I would say that once the assault happened and once we got our people rescued and out, our most immediate concern was, number one, taking care of their injuries. As I said, I still have a DS agent at Walter Reed seriously injured. Getting them into Frankfurt, Ramstein to get taken care of. The FBI going over immediately to start talking to them. We did not think it was appropriate for us to talk to them before the FBI conducted their interviews. So, and we did not, I think this is accurate, sir, I certainly did not know of any reports that contradicted the IC talking points at the time that Ambassador Rice went on the TV shows. And, you know, I just want to say that, you know, people have accused Ambassador Rice and the administration of, you know, misleading Americans. I can say, trying to be in the middle of this and understanding what was going on, nothing could be further from the truth.
Isn't it interesting that nobody raised the question in neither the House nor the Senate that I'm aware of what was going on in the annex at Benghazi, at the U.S. consulate? Have you noticed how that story has disappeared? Now, I think it is fairly common knowledge at this point for people who have been paying attention what that annex was being used for. It was being used to interrogate people looking for any more of Gaddafi's sympathizers or his loyalists. And the interrogation was probably not unlike the opening few scenes in Zero Dark 30. Here's more from Senator Ron Johnson.
Do you disagree with me that a simple phone call to those evacuees to determine what happened wouldn't have ascertained immediately that there was no protest? I mean, that was a piece of information that could have been easily obtained.
Well, but Senator,
within hours, if not days.
Senator, when you're in these positions, the last thing you want to do is interfere with any other process going on.
I realize that's a good excuse.
Number two, no, it's the fact. Number two, I would recommend highly you read both what the ARB said about it and the classified ARB, because even today there are questions being raised. Now, we have no doubt they were terrorists, they were militants, they attacked us, they killed our people. But what was going on and why they were doing what they were doing
we were misled that there was supposedly protests and then something sprang out of that, an assault sprang out of that. And that was easily ascertained that was not the fact. And the American people could have known that within days, and they didn't know that.
With all due respect, the fact is we had 4 dead Americans. Was it because of a protest, or was it because of guys out for a walk one night who decided they'd go kill some Americans? What difference at this point does it make? It is our job to figure out what happened and do everything we can to prevent it from ever happening again, Senator.
Woo.
Now, honestly, I will do my best to answer your questions about this, but the fact is that people were trying in real time to get to the best information.
The problem I have with all of this, I like to see a Democrat sit in the witness chair and kick some Republican ass. I have to admit, I do enjoy seeing that. But what is never discussed, at least in open sessions of these hearings, and I'm sure in closed sessions it's discussed with an air of absolute cynicism, is the role of the United States military and the Department of Defense and the intelligence agencies in all of this activity that is roiling across the so-called, what do they call it? Not the Fertile Crescent, but the Islamic Crescent. Is that the way to do it? From North Africa all the way to Pakistan. But where it concerns North Africa, you understand what's going on. Do you remember, when was it, 3 or 4 years ago, when all of a sudden, or no, it was during the Bush years. All of a sudden, I think it was, the Bush administration put in place something called the Africa Command. Remember? And a lot of people go, what? African Command? What does that mean? There's nothing going on in Africa. And then all of a sudden, things were going on in Africa. Now, I've always found that to be pick the right word, interesting. That before, and I may be wrong. If I'm wrong, send me something, make your comment. But it seems to me it was before Al-Qaeda or whoever these organizations are. And why would it necessarily be Al-Qaeda that attacked the U.S. consulate in Benghazi? If the story of what was going on in the annex next door was true, I mean, again, let's change the setting from Libya to, Michigan. And if a foreign power had a consulate in Detroit and next door to the consulate, there was torture. I mean, yes, no, maybe? Anybody got any ideas?